We had a lot of public comment, and Betty from the Affordable Housing is present. Would my board be okay with moving the action item of the Affordable Housing Trust up to our first before the select board policy to respect people's time and the nice weather? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Betty, if you can come forward and identify yourself, and then bring us up to speed, because your board you discussed, so we had at our last meeting, we were prepared to take a vote, and then we got some feedback, and you guys quickly had a meeting and had a discussion about it and made a recommendation. And so if you could bring your recommendation to the board and to the public, so we figure out how we're going to proceed today.
My name's Betty Gallo. I'm a Truro voter, and I'm vice chair of the Truro Housing Authority. Kevin Grunwald, who was the chair, asked last time if you all would postpone the vote to allow us to look at the issue and take some kind of vote about what we would hope you would do moving forward. Because this is what I do, I did a little fact sheet, found out quite a bit about housing trusts. One is every town in the Lower and Outer Cape do have a municipal housing trust. They differ in who's serving and what powers are available. I gave you a fact sheet of what I had done. We met, we unanimously voted to strongly urge you to postpone any action on this. We believe there needs to be more work, more than this two-page fact sheet. We would like to do more work. We would like to actually have a number of discussions around this within the Housing Authority, but we also would like to host some public input into the idea. We would hopefully be able to get some consensus, we'll see, consensus in the community about what we should be doing around this. It provides us with a lot of tools that we don't have. It's state law, and I imagine when I go through the other towns, even outside of the Truro, there will be more of them. So basically that's what we're asking you to do, and we would like to do some research. We would like to provide a recommendation to the select board, and we would like to provide an opportunity for more public input. So that's our request.
Great, thank you. So let's work on a little bit of history for the public. So we already have a housing trust, which comprises the select board, and then there was a vote at town meeting, which is what led us in the direction of having either we tried to have a vote at the last meeting and a vote at this meeting. And so, we didn't just pull this out of thin air. This was an effort to complete work that had already been agreed on at town meeting, that town meeting asked us to proceed with this action. As you said, other communities have these trusts. And so I didn't see the fact sheet. Did anybody else? Yeah. Okay. Can I see it really quickly?
I'm sorry.
Well, it's.
I sent it in.
That's a me thing, not a you thing.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm going to read this and open it up to my colleagues to make their comments and weigh in on how they want to proceed today.
Maybe just the first part.
So who would like to start? You want to start, Sue?
Sure. First of all, I wanted to say to Betty, thank you very much for doing the fact sheet, and it's in our packet if members of the public want to look at it. I agree completely with everything you said. I think we should not be doing this at this point. I think we do want public input, and I guess my question for you is this work that the Truro Housing Authority wants to do? Are you looking for select board participation, or do you want to go off and do your thing and come back? I mean, these are the questions that I have, but I don't think this needs to be deferred for a year's worth of study, but I think we need to do more work, and you've got a great start going with the fact sheet that you provided. If you're willing to do the work, I would be thrilled to have the Housing Authority do it, but I would be happy as a select board member to provide whatever support you need, and I also don't know what that means in terms of staff reports. So those are my questions.
Actually, we had with 2 meetings ago made Municipal Housing Trust one of our priorities for the year. And so we would really be glad to do some of the work. Obviously, you all get to decide. It is a decision of the select board what happens. But we would like to do some more research. We'd like to do some more discussion. And as I said, we would like to host some public input to the decision. I think that people don't, anyway, I think that this would be, we're very supportive of a municipal trust. We think that there should be, more voices in making some of these decisions. Obviously, you all get to make decisions about your land, but you also get to make decisions who serve on the trust. That's the state law. But we think that we could put some more people in the trust with certain expertise and things like that has happened in other towns. So we'd like to have time to discuss it. We'd like to have time to do some more research to provide for you, and also some public input that we could then make them recommendations to you all, which you can use or not.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Steph.
Thank you, Sue. Those were excellent points, and I concur with Sue. So back to a timeline, not to put you up right there or anything, but because it's a lot of work. We know every time you do an outreach event, there's always every action that seems relatively simple requires not only town staff and the space and the all of those things, but it would be nice to be able to do some of these events during this season that we're in, when we really have a robust member, a great amount of our community here, taxpayers, residents, non-residents, all the different demographics. So is that, I don't know how often you meet,
Well, we only meet once a month.
Right. Only.
We would be willing to have more meetings as discussing this. Maura Glassel, who just did the long-term comprehensive plan, said she could do a public meeting with her eyes closed. So
I love that. I love that. It is summer too, and everybody deserves. I'm not looking for you to meet once a week or.
No. And then all our meetings are open, so people could come. So anyway, I think that we could start doing it. It's going to be a priority. We'll start doing it right away. We'll see how much work needs to get done and how much consensus there is, and then we'll get back to you with a proposal, hopefully by the fall.
Great, thank you. I appreciate your willingness to take this on. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate, I criticized the planning board in the past for working in a silo. And so if the Housing Trust is willing to be collaborative with the select board and to do outreach and community forums to have people weigh in, I really want to hear about how to support the work of the trust. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but should we have a trust? Not helpful. The point of the trust and why other communities have it, and you can help me weigh in, Darren and Betty, is when there are certain real estate opportunities that could become available that are time sensitive, and there is another person who's interested in that property, or someone passes away and they want to have the town be able to purchase it for housing. And so this is a mechanism to be able to address the housing crisis. It's not to avoid town meeting. Town meeting voted for this trust. So we already have the blessing of town meeting for a trust to be able to work as agents of the trust for the community to create housing and in special circumstances. And so so I hope that the conversation is positive, and that it's not diluted by people who don't want housing or are limitedly concerned about taxes going up, because the chair of the Finance Committee has talked a lot about how there's a domino effect and how not having housing negatively can impact the budget and cause the cost of having to be competitive in the job market when people are having to drive far distances to come to Truro to work at the town level. So I hope that there's community support and that this is really productive and supportive of housing initiatives, and that when we had our last meeting, if people could take note of that, I think it's valuable to have 2 select board members. In the event that one select board member can't be present, there's always a backup, and so that you have some cognitive diversity represented from the board on it. The housing coordinator, I don't think they should be a voting member. I want to depoliticize that position when that person is hired to support this work, from learning from past practices on how to support staff and not put them in the crosshairs of passionate and contentious decisions. And I'm going to let the community and the successors decide the makeup of it. And I think this board is very well equipped to make this decision tonight based on our knowledge and experience. But I do love the collaborative effort that you're suggesting. So I support not taking a vote tonight. But if you could just consider my recommendations moving forward. John, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I did write down the word punt after getting the punting meeting to delay it a little bit when I first got it, because I think Betty has laid out a framework that is ideally suited and will meet not only what the town's needs are, but also obviously the public as well. And so I not to belabor it again, Sue's questions and the comments from Stephanie and yourself, I think it's a good idea to defer on this, and maybe the suspense, maybe at the summer, but we work through the summer and consider something in the fall, as Betty recommended.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, sure, Sue.
Can I pile on, Betty? A couple people have mentioned the funding aspects of this, and that's another thing that's really complicated, because some money comes from the Community Preservation Act, some money comes from the rental fees, and so part of this effort, as you have talked about, is about public education. And I think one of the things that needs to be made really clear is the various sources of money that would be coming into this trust to be spent, and what the parameters are for each of those sources, because they're different. So if you're willing to dig into that, I know Trudy Brazil has all this stuff right in her head, but anyway, I think that's a really important piece of this is the financial piece.
And I, of course, serve on the CPC, so I know
You
this.
do.
I think that Kristen did make me think of something, and that is we should probably reach out to some of the other housing committees in town, as well as the public, and we'll try to put something together. We'll share it with the board when we have sort of a plan, and see if you have other ideas, and then we'll implement it the best we can and get a recommendation back to you.
Appreciate it. Bob, Stephanie, final words?
I concur with my colleagues. I think it would be premature to vote on this tonight. I want to thank Betty and members of her group who have worked on this. I just want to point out a couple of informational things. There are 2 items here that often are co-joined in a confusing way. First of all, there's the Affordable Housing Trust. That's one entity. There's also the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is important for reasons stated, as Sue said, about where funds come from into this and how various communities handle that. That portion of it is governed by Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 55C. I think it would be advisable that we do not vote on this evening, and also give town council the time to inform the new board. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Appreciate it. Stephanie, any comments? Okay. And then I guess my other, in your fact sheet, which I appreciated, I'm sorry I missed it in the packet, is, which town is the most effective as a trust, right? Like, which model is actually working and developing much needed housing for this community in this region? And so not making that decision in a silo and reaching out to the other towns to find out if they have any best practices, or they would have changed how they would have done it if they could go back in time. So I appreciate the information gathering motivation from your group, and then it working collaboratively and creating synergy with the select board and the community. So,
One
yes,
more thing.
yeah, Betty.
I just wanted, Chairwoman, or I guess we just say Chair, Reed, and Secretary Dundas, I just wanted to thank you for your service. This is not an easy job. It is anything but an easy job, and anyone who's willing to put the time and energy into it deserves a lot of credit.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Madam Chair, if I could make a comment before, on behalf of the staff. I think, the staff is, before we even start talking about it, we realize that there needs to be some additional, that we've identified some conflicts with the pre-existing Affordable Housing Trust and the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust, and that we feel like we need to have a little bit of more in-depth analysis on, because there are things that even Senator Sear cannot achieve with the current trust that's problematic. And so in terms of workforce housing, there's some issues with it. He's trying to figure it out from a legislative perspective. And so there's a lot of things to tackle with this. It's not a perfect system, this new model that was approved by town meeting. And so I think I agree with not only our community members, but the select board that and the Truro Housing Authority that we need to really kind of do some more in-depth analysis on this and look how we move forward with this to be more effective.
great. Jack, you want to say something? You got something to add?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, come on up.
Jack Reamer, Truro voter. First, I would like to thank Vice Chair Gallo's recommendation. I appreciate and recognize her hard work on the Truro Housing Authority. In order to support public outreach, I would ask that the town provide the Truro Housing Authority a space to hold their meetings where they can be recorded and available for future public broadcast. Currently, you have to attend the meetings, which I do frequently, and I have to say that their minutes are up to date, but you have to wait a month to understand what happened on the last month's meeting. So in support of the recommendations that have been made, and in support of involving the town, as we've all acknowledged, would benefit by being a partner to this process, please allow them to have a space where these things can be recorded, and maybe even people could participate remotely. Thank you all for your attendance to this.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to, that's a very good point that Jack makes, because the Housing Authority's been meeting at the Truro Library where we can't record, so the meetings are not hybrid. And I've mentioned this to Kevin, and I think I probably complained to Betty as well, because I like to watch them even though I'm not the liaison. And I'm wondering if the Housing Authority might take up that issue. I mean, even meeting at the community center, which is right next door, where they do have the capability to do hybrid meetings and remote. But thank you for mentioning that.
And thank you as well.
Appreciate it. Darren, do you want to weigh in? There's a reason that when we were trying to allocate staff time, resources to, what we're at 34.
More than that, yeah. We're probably close to
37. We added a few.
We added
Yeah.
a few more, I think.
36 committees, and so many of them would love to be hybrid, and the select board made a choice about who, the regulatory, adjudicatory, our board would be hybrid, because they need the staff and they need the space, and then there's a competition for space. So can you, we're going to not make the decision tonight, but can you speak to the domino effect of making them hybrid?
I mean, Tomas is here. When I look at Tomas, but there's only one Tomas, and we have very limited staff. We have a budget specifically for the regulatory bodies and the committees that you have identified would be either streaming or hybrid. And so adding another one after the budget season, obviously there's a budgetary impact and there's a personnel impact. And so that's where we stand. The Truro Housing Authority themselves have not requested this. This is a citizen request, so I know that they've not requested it, but it's something the select board, if you want to, we maybe could get additional funding from the reserve. We could look at if it's necessary, if it's considered within the criteria of a reserve request, which I'm not sure it would be. Or it may have to wait until next year, until the next fiscal year to be able to fund that. So,
I was thinking,
yeah.
Stephanie and then Sue.
I was just thinking it maybe that if they're not hybrid, but at least they're being recorded so that you can go online. Like some of our other meetings, you can't interact, but that way, to Jack's point, you would know before a month what's happened. And the problem with that is then you're at the next meeting. So if you wanted to come and comment, you can't play the catch up. So perhaps they could just be that it's being recorded.
True.
And then online.
In the past, obviously, the minutes were the record, official record. They remain their official record. So I don't know how often the Truro Housing Authority approves their minutes and posts their minutes. But if it happens between the time, I don't think that happens. They'll
That's
do
what I mean. It takes the next month because they have to vote on the minutes to accept them.
Yeah.
So by the time they've voted to release the minutes, they're already in the next meeting.
We're in a new world of with
Instant gratification.
Yeah. So it's just a select board decision. But I'm just giving you the. Sorry, Sue. I'm just giving you the potential impacts.
You're absolutely right. So, and what I would say is pre-COVID, the meetings were recorded and posted online later, like at a later time. So I'm wondering if that would be a compromise here, because I don't think we clearly can't add, or we could, but with great expense, more hybrid capability. But if the meetings could be recorded so that people could watch them a few days later, that might be an option. I don't know.
Bottom line is we'd have to have a staff member there to be able to make sure that it's recording and uploaded at the end of the day. So there's still staff requirements. So that's just the known impact.
Okay. Yeah, Betty, come forward.
We have looked at this, and there's a couple of problems that you didn't mention. And one is we meet at the exact same time the planning board meets. And so that's been one of the reasons we couldn't use the equipment in the places. We tried to, and I think we did record one meeting. It was the meeting where we approved, oh no, it wasn't them. It was the CPC record a meeting at the same place where we met. And it didn't go well. So, I mean, maybe it's, we just need to know better how to do it. But we'd be glad to do any and all the above if we can find a way for us to do it. I mean, obviously, we'd be fine with that.
Obviously, this is not an agenda item, so we're really off topic right now. But but I would say that we'll work with the THA if they want us to try to find a way to do that for them offline.
Okay.
Yeah.